Ignite your engines with fire and thunder and get ready to deliver a smackdown to anyone who stands in your way. Hello everyone, GoldenNova here, and today we're taking a look at another edition from the Crossover Breakers deck build pack. We've talked about the terrifying titans of Ryugioh, now it's time to open up the cylinders of these high-tuned machines and show them what the rank 4 toolbox can do with Ryzeal Explained. Today's episode is brought to you by my lovely patrons, as well as the wonderful people over at Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. So what's the deal with Ryzeal? Well, they're a series of level 4 light pyro or fire thunder monsters, and they love rank 4s. They love it so much that they're tuned to do nothing but rank 4 summoning, locking us into those kinds of special summons from the extra deck. But in exchange for that deck building restriction, we get a pile of material monsters that can find each other and summon themselves effortlessly, letting you leverage them into any number of rank 4s. Get ready for a stacked tech pick section at the end of the video because we have a lot to look through. Let's start things off with Ryzeal, a light pyro monster with 500 attack and 2000 defense that you can special summon from your hand by sending an Xyz monster from your extra deck to the grave. But if you do, you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except rank 4 Xyz monsters. And if normal or special summoned while you control no monsters except level or rank 4 monsters, you can add a fire thunder monster from your deck to your hand. Now, to get ahead of things, this is meant to search out the other type and attribute combo in our theme. Technically, this can also search you Sprite Carrot and Red, but the Link and rank 2 centered deck isn't going to mesh well with the rank 4 exclusive deck, though I'd be sure to keep an eye out for those kinds of monsters in the future. You never know when the very shallow Fire Thunder pool is going to get some more additions. Now, the best target for this effect is X's twin, Ryzeal, a Fire Thunder monster with 1500 attack and 200 defense, and if you have a Ryzeal monster on your field or in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, putting you under the same summon lock as X. And if normal or special summoned at all, you can add a light pyro monster from your deck to your hand. This is fantastic because whichever one you start with, you can grab the other and special summon it, using the second search to branch off into any of our other on-theme monsters. It's just the thing you'd want to see in any deck that uses the extra, really. A 1-card rank 4 that can spiral off into other plays. And what's better, Thode's search targets outside of Ryzeal is actually pretty good. Incantation Candle leaves the door open for some kind of odd ritual strategy. And remember, that lock only cares about summons from the extra deck, though the real deal is going to be searching out any of the Helios cards. Ice Ryzeal is a light pyro monster, that's a interesting combination of words, with 1700 attack and 1000 defense, and you can special summon it by sending any card from your hand or field to the graveyard, putting you under our patented rank 4 lock. And if normal summoned, you can special summon a Ryzeal monster from your deck, which means you can summon either X or Thode to keep getting level 4 monsters. Basically, if you open up any of these last 3 monsters, you'll have access to your entire combo. All you have to do is ignore the incongruity of the name. I mean, you'll probably be fine, but me? I'm gonna be stuck on how a pyro monster is an ice anything. Is it like supposed to be a cooling system, but the blue looks more like fire and not some kind of liquid? Why do they keep doing this to me specifically? Node Ryzeal is a Fire Thunder monster with 1400 attack and 1600 defense that you can special summon from your hand if you have an Xyz monster on your field or in your grave, putting you under the rank 4 lock. It can send a card from your hand or field to the grave, then targets a Ryzeal monster in your grave except a copy of itself, and special summons itself in defense position, but negate its effects. Now, this is the only Ryzeal you don't want to open, because it doesn't lead into any other monster. Rather, it recovers them to help extend your plays. Don't expect it to get you into a long string of effects later on in the game, since what Node summons has its effects negated, but it's another easy rank 4, and if you've already gone in on one of those and detached some of its material, Node can scoop it right back out to use with all of your other material, making 3 mat and higher rank 4s a breeze. It also combos exceedingly well with X's own summoning effect, which sends an Xyz monster right to the grave. The way it functions certainly makes this out to be the odd one out in the group, but we're not just talking about its mechanics, but its appearance as well. Why does this one look like an armored up Crystron monster? Synchros aren't what we're making here today, folks. Palma Ryzeal is a Fire Thunder monster with 1200 attack and 2400 defense that cannot be normal summoned or set. It must first be special summoned from the hand by shuffling a Ryzeal monster from your hand or grave into the deck or extra deck, putting us under that tried and true Ryzeal lock. Once per turn, if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, you can send a level 4 monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that monster's attack until the end of the battle phase. Now I thought Node was going to be the weird one, but no, we've got a Nomi monster that can take our spent monsters, or heck, even the card that X sends to the grave for its own summon, then sends a level 4 to the graveyard again for its own effect, growing it to a pretty hefty size. Even without going off theme, Ice Ryzeal can get Palma into a whopping 2900 attack, and if you want to get really freaky with the level 4s you run, you could go up to 3700 attack if you send a Giant Kozaki, though 2900 is probably going to be good enough. So if you need to clear something before going into your extra deck, Palma can get the job done. It may not clear the vaunted 3k tier while staying on theme, but as far as battle threats go, I'd still say that this one sets the gold standard. Alright, that covers our main deck crew. Now it's time for the extra deck, starting with Ryzeal Duo Drive, a Fire Thunder Xyz monster with 2500 attack and 2000 defense, requiring 2 or more level 4 monsters as material. For each material attached to this card, all monsters you control gain 100 attack, and monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack. If this card is special summoned, you can attach a Ryzeal monster from your grave to it as material, and during your main phase, you can detach 2 material from monsters you control, and if you do, add 2 Ryzeal cards with different names from your deck to your hand. This is the card that plays best with our off-theme level 4s. By converting them into Duo Drive, you can grab any Ryzeal monster you don't already have, and keep it rolling from there. But if you keep the material, you've got a pretty nifty board buff. It's reminiscent of Chung Ying's effect, though this gives the boost to all of your monsters, not just itself. Though, because it's based on how much material it has instead of the size of the banishment, it's not going to be quite as impactful. Expect to see this as the front runner of many a Ryzeal strategy, or even rank 4 ones looking to leverage their might, though it is a bit on the nose. I mean, Duo Drive detaches 2 material to get 2 cards. It really does a lot to drive home the theming. Ryzeal Deadnator is a light pyro Xyz monster with 3000 attack and 2500 defense, requiring 2 or more level 4 Ryzeal monsters as material. When your opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, you can detach a material from this card, then target a card on the field and destroy it. If this card is special summoned, you can attach a monster from your grave to it as material, and if any number of Xyz monsters you control would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can detach a material from this card instead. Now, the protection and material absorption effects on this card are hard once per turns, but the reactionary destruction, that has no usage limit outside of the materials you have on it. So if you stack 4 monsters under Deadnator, your opponent better be very careful with how they commit to the board, because that right hook means business. Its power is explosive, which kind of makes sense. I'm getting a lot of Bomberman 64 vibes off this guy, let me tell you. That's all of the Xyz monsters we have right now. Next up, the spells and traps. Ryzeal Plugin is a quick play spell card that targets an Xyz monster or a Ryzeal monster in your grave or banishment and special summons it. Then you can attach a Ryzeal card from your deck to a rank 4 monster you control as material, but you can't attack for the rest of the turn except with rank 4 Xyz monsters. Now, this pulls double duty when summoning a Ryzeal Xyz monster, because those absorb material on special summon. So with Plugin also attaching a material, you basically get the same amount of material as when you would legitimately Xyz summon that monster, solving the problem of those types of monsters not getting any of their effects because all their material doesn't come with them. This thankfully also works with our generic Xyz targets. It'll only get 1 material, generally, but also acts as a kind of foolish burial since we attach that material directly from our deck. This is also really helpful for summoning out our regular Ryzeal main deck monsters if we need one of their turbocharged search chains. And the fact that you just get to activate this at basically any stage of the game feels supremely nutty. It's like the definition of plug and play. Ryzeal Cross is a field spell card that keeps you from Xyz summoning monsters with the same name as a card you control. You can target 2 Ryzeal cards in your grave, accept a copy of this card, and place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, then draw a card. And once per turn, when an opponent's activated monster effect resolves, you can detach a material from a Ryzeal Xyz monster you control, and if you do, negate that effect. This is going to be the cornerstone of your setup. Usually you'll nab this off of Duo Drive, and if you detach 2 Ryzeal Monsters, you'll have just enough to activate the draw effect from Cross. Then you just keep some material attached to your on-theme monsters, and you'll be able to stop a monster effect without even activating an effect of your own. That's right, the way this card is worded, it negates on resolution. You don't have to even activate this to use it. This bypasses cards that keep you from responding to them, as well as slipping under any monster looking to negate activations. Cross doesn't destroy when doing so, but sometimes just stopping the effect is enough to claim the game. The only thing off here is the effect that restricts you from Xyz summoning monsters of names you already control, which I assume is there to keep you from summoning 3 Duo Drives and having more than enough material to spend on the negate, though maybe some other secret will reveal itself with legacy support down the line. Also, could V8 engines always do stuff like this? I would have become a mechanic if motorcycles could do stuff like this. Ryzeal Whole Thruster is a normal trap card that targets face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of Ryzeal Xyz Monsters you control. Destroy them, then you can attach a Ryzeal card from your grave to a rank 4 Xyz monster you control as material. You can banish this card from your grave to, immediately after this effect resolves, Xyz summon using monsters you control, including a Ryzeal monster. Currently, the removal effect is okay. Getting both names onto the field isn't too difficult, so it's not hard to get the 2-for-1, and it's searchable thanks to Duo Drive, so sure, I'll give it a pass, especially since it also recharges your Xyz material. The quick Xyz summon effect is pretty neat if you can manage to get the material out onto the field before your own turn. Plug-in might have something to do with that, but I currently fail to see what this does for the theme broadly. If we had any interruptive effects on summon, I'd kind of get it, but right now it just feels like a quick Xyz effect just to have one. Though it will be helpful to play through Dimensional Barrier, very much wouldn't be opposed to that. But that's not even the most important thing about it. See, Ryzeal Whole Thruster is a whole normal trap card. That's right, we're looking at more trap trick support, baby! Okay, that's all the cards. Let's put what we've learned into practice with a little combo. X-Ryzeal is our preferred 1-card combo, especially since we can search it off of Bonfire. Still at 3, by the way, thanks banlist! Use its effect, sending either of your Ryzeal Xyz monsters to the grave to special summon itself, getting you Thode, which you can special summon since you have a Ryzeal in rotation. This gets you Ice, which you can normal summon to get out Node. But before we use its effect, overlay X and Thode for Duo Drive. Attach the Xyz you send to grave with X to Duo Drive to get an extra material on it, and from here, you detach the 2 non-Xyz Ryzeals from Duo Drive to grab 2 cards. One is going to be our field spell, giving us some effect installation since Duo Drive has that spare material, and the second card is going to depend on if we're going first or second. Get Whole Thruster going first to give you some removal and interaction, and get Plugin for extension going second. Now, use Node's effect, sending another card from your hand to special summon back one of the Ryzeals that were detached. Oh yeah, turns out this is a 2-card combo, but the second card is basically any discard, giving you 3 level 4 monsters. Now, overlay Ice, Node, and that third monster if you're going first to make Detonator. Put the card you discarded for Node as material under Detonator using its effect, and going first, you've got some destruction protection and response destruction from Detonator. Duo Drive provides a bit of stat changing, all backed up by Whole Thruster, which is much more proactive removal. Alternatively, when going second, make Detonator with only 2 material, then play Plugin, reviving the second Ryzeal that's in your graveyard from the Duo Drive detachment, putting another material under either of our Xyz directly from the deck, with Duo Drive upgrading its buff, while Detonator gets more material to punish your opponent for interacting with you. And you now have 2 level 4 monsters left over to make any applicable rank 4 on top of our current setup. Okay, that's all the info I have about Ryzeal, but what do we do with them? Well, folks, it's about as simple as it gets. We're gonna need to peruse our roster of rank 4s to see what we can make the best use of, as well as the best level 4 enablers we can get our hands on to pair with our Ryzeal main deck monsters. So what can we play to help them out? First up, we have the classic utility rank 4s. Abyss Dweller is a long-standing member of the anti-graveyard vanguard. Daigusto Emerald is great for resource management and getting you a nifty little draw. Tornado Dragon helps deal with back row, and Castel is still a pretty great option option for getting face-up cards off the field without sending them to the grave. So we basically already have a good core of problem solvers right here. Dugar's the Timeless, though, is kind of an evil version of all of these. It's high risk, but the rewards are so good. Some other highlights include Ragna Zero, which is actually always online because of Duo Drive's constant debuff. It gives you quick removal and a draw. Infernal Flame Banshee can search your Ryzeal Pyro monsters, which is pretty cool, especially Agnimal Candle, which ends up being a free special summon if you search it. Evilswarm Exciton Knight might seem like a strange choice in an Xyz deck when Zeus is a thing, but because of the Ryzeal lock, we actually can't access it easily. Both that and Typhon. So Exciton is kind of a concession to our deck building restriction. We have a couple of really neat Xyz monsters that actually equip to others that I wanted to bring up here. Number 58 Burner Visor makes one of our Xyzes a direct attacker, which is pretty cool, especially given how big our monsters can be. And number 80 Rhapsody in Berserk can give an Xyz a 1200 attack boost, but not before you get to pick 2 cards out of your opponent's grave and commit them to the banishment. What if your opponent's board is too developed and you have to stall for time? Well, we've got help for that too. Baguska is a fantastic way to turn a board sideways and keep your opponent from messing with you. But if you're down to only a few cards and want to make sure nothing gets through your defenses, well, most everything, then consider running Crooked Cook. Granted, if we only use on-theme material, it's not going to get the most annoying part of it, which is when you use left-hand shark and right-hand shark to make it so it can't be destroyed by battle or a card effect. But those two aren't exactly bad choices to add to the deck either. Neither of them apply any kind of restriction, so we can play them freely with the rest of our Ryzeal stuff, and those protections can just be added on to any of the rank 4s we build with them. And speaking of sharks, Full Armored Ray Lancer is probably the scariest of the monsters in our roster, because as long as we have a spare spell or trap card in our hand, you can turn any of the rank 4 monsters that we made purely for utility into the game's latest and greatest offensive beast. It's a monster debuff, it negates our opponent's attack position monster effects once we hit the battle phase, a negate that is permanent, and it's a multi-attacker. It's like it was made to combo with our deck. But we can't dismiss regular Utopia, at least when summoned off of Utopia Double, because while we have some beefy brawlers that can help us get through the mid game, it's nice to have a monster that just auto wins you the game if your opponent's shields are down. Because we've already touched on it before, Trap Tricks actually have some funny synergy with our deck. While they have diversified into a part link strategy, sadly cutting us off from cards like Sarah, we still have a number of good rank 4s we can utilize. Rafflesia can utilize any whole normal trap card from our deck, including the Ryzeal Hole Launcher, but also things like Bottomless Trap Hole or Gravedigger's Trap Hole to handle a number of situations. Pinguicula can grab any of your Trap Tricks monsters while also scooping up monsters sent to your opponent's grave or banishment by effects as Xyz material, which helps add to this card's protection. Or you can use Alumeris to put that monster on your side of the field. Now we just have to round things out with Myrmelio to get better access to more trap holes, and you're ready to condemn your opponent to the great void that is beyond the bottomless. Okay, that covers our rank 4 catalog. I mean, as much as I want to talk about it in this video, there's tons of cards you could technically run. These ones are just the ones that I feel need the most attention. Next up, let's talk about level 4 monsters and the support they can provide to Ryzeals. Sakitama is the new standard level 4 extender, giving you a free normal summon to summon itself without impacting the rest of your plays. And, I mean, well, really what else is there? I could mention Photon Thrasher, but Sakitama is just so ahead of the curve that going back to Thrasher is a real downgrade. Like, it was useful when it was the big level 4 extender, but now you can only summon it while the board is empty, whereas Sakitama can be used whenever we want. And because our main deck is already saturated with level 4 monsters that are experts in getting onto the field, we don't actually need to add any more than this. So instead, we're going to swerve into some more unexpected territory, our not rank 4 Xyz options. See, the Ryzeal lock only applies when special summoning our Ryzeals using their own effect, and they only apply for the rest of the turn. This means that you can normal summon Ice, and summon any of your level 4 Ryzeals with its effect. Then you make a rank 4, go into Xyz Armor Fortress to get full armored Xyz, leading into full armor Dark Knight Lancer. You set the full armor Xyz, use it on your opponent's turn, and now, thanks to that trap card being in the graveyard, you have a quick equip to your Lancer, which gives you an absorb of your opponent's monster as material. There's also the fact that you can just overlay with Ice before the Ryzeal lock kicks in, attack with it, and then go into Zeus that way. As for a silly tech pick, we have an even funnier way to break the rank 4 lock. See, Tellers are another big rank 4 strategy, and Delteros is a solid 3 mat that gives removal and summon protection to everything. But what's even funnier is Teller Knight Ptolemaeus. While you'll have to wait until your opponent's turn to take advantage of the rank up effect and avoid the Ryzeal lock, it does mean you can drop monsters like Satellar Knight Constellar Diamond as an anti-dark tech, as well as keeping your opponent from throwing cards from their deck into the graveyard, or summon Chronomaly Vimana for a monster negate. And if you want to punish your opponent for playing something like a Darkhole or a Raigeki, have Ptolemaeus rank up into Cyber Dragon Nova. Not only do I appreciate the monster for obvious reasons, it gives you a chance to go into infinity on a future turn, but if it's sent to the graveyard by your opponent's effect, you can summon any machine fusion monster from your extra deck, and that means Barbaroid is on the menu. Have fun with your new 4000 attack double attacker that negates the effects of what it destroys in battle and burns your opponent for 1000 every time you do so. Just make sure your opponent has monsters. Attacking directly is not part of this monster's job description. And that's all I have to say about Ryzeal. I've heard a lot of people give this theme guff for being a one-trick pony, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you there's some hidden depth to the theme that's yet to be untapped. When you play this deck, you're only going to be stacking monsters on top of each other, and they're going to be rank 4s. But there's a beauty to its simplicity, and personally, I'm excited to consolidate my monsters into big punching mechs and rule the field with unrelenting might. Trust me, it may seem like another boring beatdown deck, but honestly, you're only going to get out from it what you put in. And you're not going to get anything from these if you don't show them some real zeal. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Are Ryzeal the latest hotness for crushing the competition, or are they just another tool in the box? And which one's your favorite? Detonator was mine at first, but something about Duo Drive scratches an itch for big, complicated mech designs that I love. Let me know your favorite down below, and if you haven't already yet, please be sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and share this video with somebody you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and get 5% off your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media, and the Wizard Moose, Nebula Navigator's 3rd Dynasty, 50 Gigabits, Ada Basilisk, Adams Ajdel, Oexo Toahime, Anansi Dragon, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Kane Senpai, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Gloomba 331, Great Big Pillock, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Howling Zangetsu, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Leo 458, Mana Charge, Marion James E. Picata, Megacombi, Millennia Asta, Mern, Muse Clark, Nathan Vig, Natiel Lee Alexander, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Pat Poos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Serenity Towns, The Critic of Innocence and Thievery Coast, Cosmic Crusaders Andrew J. Whitaker, Ariel Kersey, Bedin Von Titty Sprinkles, Beelzephyr, Beluga Masta, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Dr. Reaper R.I.P., Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Ignis Heat the True Draco Slayer, Inblink, Kale the Dragon, Kevon Public, Lobamaru 02, Manga Pages, Matt Simmons, McSpoofy, Michael Shimobukuro, Nitromo, Nyx, Obsidian, Shizuka Nijimura, Sophie, apparently, Stephen Williamson, Taylor Seymour, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Pokemon 52, Tiger X2476, Weasel King of Weaseltown, and Zaldreka, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you'd check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member. And if you'd like to see some more rank 4 nonsense, check out this video that I made covering Zodiacs. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.